Okay, I think we are live. I want to say good morning, everybody. I know we're in the midst of this pandemic, and we're trying to do things to keep ourselves going. And the idea to do this live webinar was presented to me by Liz from New York State ProStart, New York State Restaurant Association's ProStart program. And I jumped at the opportunity. I thought it'd be great to do something while everybody's kind of homebound. And talk a little bit about my story on becoming a chef, and then do some salad plating and take it to a couple of different thought processes on salad. I want to welcome, of course, ProStart students. I want to welcome our CCAP students. I know that was also sent out to CCAP. Of course, my students at Costantino, New York, Monroe College. I know some of you are joining. I got some text messages that you were looking forward to it. And, of course, my subscribers here on the Chef Doctor channel. And if you're not a subscriber, you should do that, because we do put out a lot of great videos, instructional videos and such on the channel. So I hope that you'll take advantage of that. So I'm going to start with a little bit about my journey to becoming a chef. It was interesting when I was in high school, as many of you are right now, particularly a senior in high school. I really wasn't sure where I was going to go, what I was going to do. I had a very unfortunate meeting with my guidance counselor when I was a senior in high school, and looking at my grades, which I thought were pretty good actually, he told me that he didn't think I was college material. So you can imagine being 17 years old, early in your senior year of college, meeting with your guidance counselor and being told you're not college material. It's pretty devastating. It turned out I had a little bit of an issue with a subject called math, right? And I wasn't a great math student, but the reality was I was a good student, and I was kind of a little taken aback. At that time, I was working in construction, right? I was doing a construction job, and my guidance counselor suggested that was a good livelihood for me to stay in construction. So something happened kind of fatefully later on that year, in the spring. A friend of mine, my good buddy Rich Kennedy, who's out in Omaha, Nebraska now, was talking to me about this program. He was going to register for classes. He was going to college. And I was a little taken aback. I'm like, oh, okay, what are you going to be doing? And he told me he was going to go to school to become a chef. And I got to tell you, that was unbelievable to me. I never heard of such a thing, right? I mean, you can go to school to be a chef. I loved cooking. I still am passionate about cooking. But I never made the connection that you could do something like that for a living, because I didn't know there was such a thing. So I accompanied him down to City Tech College down in downtown Brooklyn. I walked into the facility and I saw the kitchen, and I was just taken. Right? And at that point, he was registering classes, and I was kind of standing in this kitchen, and there was a chef instructor sitting at a desk, and he called me over. His name was Professor Colora, and he started asking me questions. What are you doing? What's your game plan? I'm like, I didn't really have one. He said, well, I see that you seem very interested in this program. I said, well, actually, I never really thought you could actually go to school and become a chef. I thought it was unbelievable. So he started taking information, and he was actually filling out an application for me. And unbeknownst to me, I'm answering the questions. I'm being respectful. He was an elder gentleman, and being a respectful young man as I was, answering all those questions. He gave me the paper to take down to this office called the bursar. I didn't know what the bursar was. I found out very quickly the bursar was where you paid your tuition. The reality was I did not have the money. So I was a little dejected. The woman that I was talking to, who was helping me at the bursar, said, okay, son, well, let's see what we can do for you. And she pointed me in the direction of this office called Institutional Aid Scholarships. And at that point, I didn't really know if there was a potential, for a scholarship. I wasn't an athlete in high school. And I know scholarships typically, you athletes get scholarships. So she asked me if I was good at writing. And I said, yeah, I'm actually a pretty good writer. Fortunately, she didn't ask me if I was good at math. I don't think I would have gotten the scholarship. But as it turned out, I did get a scholarship. And that allowed me to pay for school. And at that time, the tuition at City Tech was $430 per semester. And I got a $500 scholarship. And she told me not to spend the $70 extra because I was going to need that to buy my knives and uniforms to the school. And that's where my journey started. I went to school. I got culinary training. I realized I had an opportunity. And it's one of the things I want to hit upon this morning. I had an opportunity put in front of me, and I grabbed it. And one thing I think that's been the hallmark of my career is when an opportunity has presented itself, either for myself personally or professionally or for my program or for my students, I went after it. And I never let an opportunity get away. And I made the most of it. And in that first 2 years of the program, I decided I was going to get my associate's degree. I was working at that point as a cook, getting some great experience working as a line cook. Loved the pace of the industry. I loved the excitement of it. I had some experience working initially in my career in a bake shop over the summer between my senior year, my junior and senior year of high school. And I got some experience, but I really did like the kitchen aspect. At that time in my life, I liked the kitchen aspect much better. Got my associate's degree. I was working, as a line cook in the industry, loving every minute of it. Decided I was going to stop my education at that point. And then I had another fateful conversation with one of my instructors at the school, Professor Julia Jordan, back at City Tech. Give her a shout out. And she asked me what I was doing. And again, that question that Professor Kohler asked me, what are you doing? Well, okay, I graduated, I got my associate's degree. And she said to me, well, you need to think about a bachelor's degree. And I'm like, whoa, bachelor's degree. I felt like I am a bachelor. I'm dating girls, I'm doing all kinds of stuff, whatever. But the reality was, she was onto something. And she said, this is 1986. And she said to me, if you're serious about your career, you need to get your bachelor's degree. And honestly, I was not very excited about the prospect of staying in school. I had done 2 years. I was working full-time and going to school full-time. My career was accelerating. But I said, you know what, out of respect, and she said, just do a couple of classes. I said, okay, I'll do a couple of classes. And I did. My first semester in the bachelor's program, transitioning, I did 2 classes. But I discovered something in that period of time. What I discovered was I was doing something for myself that no one could take from me, right? I grew up in a hard neighborhood. I grew up in some difficult family times, with illness in my family and whatnot. And the reality was, when I sat in that classroom, I felt like I was doing something for myself. And I was just kind of vibing. So I decided that I was going to go full-time the following semester, and I completed my bachelor's degree. In the process of completing my bachelor's degree, I was also working as a chef. I was very blessed that I became a chef very early in my career. I received my first New York Times review working as a chef of a restaurant called Quatorze in New York City, which was one of the first real true French bistro restaurants in the city. I was 23 years old. So I was very blessed that my career moved very quickly. And I worked in that position and worked in other places as well. But getting the bachelor's degree opened the door for something that I didn't really anticipate. I got a phone call to come and work as a part-time instructor at the school that I had graduated from. And to me, that was kind of maybe the call that changed the path of my life, I guess you could say. When I was a student, I did a lot of student teaching and I did a lot of student helping with my chef instructors. But now I was going to have an opportunity to become a chef instructor myself. And my mentor at the college, Professor Phil Panzerino, when I was a student at City Tech, told me, he said, you're going to be one of the youngest people in the room, just so you understand. I was teaching an evening class, at City Tech, and it was true. I walked in, and I think I was the youngest person in the room. Most of them were older adults that were coming back to school. He said, how do you feel about that? I said, well, I'm fine with it. I said, I have a skill that I want to show these students. They need to learn the skills, and I'm going to teach them. And that started my teaching career. That was 30 years ago. And I've been blessed to be able to do the 2 things that I love to do the most, and that's to cook and to educate. And every day for me is a blessing that I get to do those things. The industry right now is in a very difficult situation. Right? The pandemic has definitely taken a toll on the industry. My belief is that things are going to bounce back. I'm optimistic. We've been through a lot of things in our history, and not even so much in our recent history. with the the Great Depression of the late 2000s, etc. We're going to bounce back. But what the industry is going to need is leadership. And that's what sets the difference between someone who cooks and has a cooking background and someone who's educated, not just in culinary arts, but in management, right? So I always advocate to my students, you need to get a degree in management, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we do. We call it culinary arts, and it's true. It is about, arts and beautiful food and everything, etc. But at the end of the day, it's a business, right? We got to make money. So we have to know how to manage a business. And the industry is going to need leaders in a very big way. So I believe that the industry is going to bounce back. It's going to come back even stronger. It may take a little bit of time. Jobs are going to be plentiful. They always are in our industry. People need to eat. They need to take meals away from home. They need to have entertainment outside of their home. And that's the crux of the hospitality industry in which our food service industry sits under. So I feel very optimistic about things. The best thing we could do during these times is educate ourselves. That's why you tuned in today. You want to learn something, and we're going to teach you something today. I thought we'd do something this morning on salad preparation. And I'm going to show you a couple different things. And then at the end, we're going to take some questions and answers. So I'm going to go through a couple different processes. The first thing I'm going to do is do a classic salad. Right? We're going to do a classic Caesar salad. We're going to start that process for you now. And then we're going to show you a modernized version of that, a more contemporary version of that, right? And then we're going to give you a different approach, something very modern. We're going to deconstruct the classic Cobb salad, all right? So let's go ahead and take a look and see. So the classic Caesar salad, I'd ask the question, I'm going to ask the question, what's in the classic Caesar? Well, I establish these ingredients here. Okay, everybody should know the classic Caesar. Yes, I know some of you are answering in the chat, right? Or thinking about the answer, and you're right. So we're going to start with some romaine lettuce, right? The romaine lettuce is the classic lettuce for a Caesar. We're putting that in. Okay, we have some croutons, okay? If you can get in a little bit closer on the croutons, Jake, that'd be great. My son, Chef Costantino, was working the camera today. Thank you so much, Jake. Jake is a culinary student in my program at the Culinary Institute of New York at Marlborough College, a member of our culinary team. So the croutons we're going to put right in, okay? And this would be an example of what we call a tossed salad, right? We're tossing all the ingredients together. I'm going to go with some Parmesan cheese. Again, this is our classic. And then finally, we want to get our dressing in, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put in, we have a basic Caesar dressing. We're going to toss that in. And we're going to toss that salad in the bowl. Now, what's happening here is we put some ingredients in the bowl, and there's a reason for these ingredients, right? The salad has components to it, right? The salad has a main ingredient, a main component. In this case, it's the romaine lettuce, right? The salad has a dressing, right? In this case, it's a creamy Caesar dressing, right? The salad has a garnish. In this case, it's a crouton. And the garnish in this case also gives us a wonderful crunch, right? Which is consistent with what we know from a Caesar salad. So we're going to plate this on a contemporary, classic rather, not contemporary, but a classic plate, classic white china plate, right? And we're going to throw a log on here for food contact purposes. And again, a very simple plate up here, right? Nice salad. We're going to take our greens, lay them on the plate. Croutons are mixed in. Yeah. Anybody ordering a Caesar salad in a restaurant situation would be very happy to get a salad like this. Okay, tasty dressing, well seasoned. Okay. The salad has cheese as well as seasoning in the dressing, so I reserved the salt and pepper here because it really is very highly flavored and seasoned already. So, and the cheese is going to bring about some saltiness, right? Nice center plate here. Okay, spin that up a little bit. So our classic Caesar salad, exhibiting the components of a salad, The main body of the salad, which are the greens, the dressing, is a Caesar dressing, and then the crunch and garnish element of the crouton. I'm going to move that over here and I'm going to ask Jake to take a close-up of that while I reset. For our next one. Again, you can see a very simple plate up. So let's take the same concept and let's kind of make it a little more contemporary, right? So right off the bat, we're going to start with a different style plate here. We're going to go to a square plate. Okay. This square plate is going to give us a little bit of a different look. But again, the ingredients are basically the same, right? We still have the romaine. I'm going to speak to that in a moment. We have the crouton. We have the dressing. And we have the Parmesan cheese, but this time we're going to do the cheese a little bit differently. We're going to give the salad a little bit more drama, okay? In the contemporary salad, we've taken the ribs out of the romaine for the most part, okay? In the classic, we left them in. We cut the romaine through, right? We tossed it in the bowl. Now we have the ribs removed, so we have a more delicate, okay, a little more refined lettuce here. So we're going to put that in the bowl, okay? All right. We're going to go ahead and add our dressing. I'm going to add the crouton as well, but this time the crouton we've cut with more precision. These are not just rough cuts. These are actual beautiful cubes because we're going to extract the crouton from the salad and use it as a more visual garnish, right? So, but I'm going to toss them into the salad because we want the flavor to get on the croutons. But we're going to hold them back in the bowl. Okay. While we plate our greens. And for this one, we're going to be very deliberate. We want to stay right on the center of our plate. Okay. I'm using a plating spoon here from our friends at Mercer Tools. Make some beautiful plating spoons. Right. We could use tongs as well. Again, we want a more delicate approach here. So we're going to go ahead and use the spoon. Get a nice stack here of our greens, your dressing, okay, creating some height on the plate with our salad greens. Again, a more contemporary, more stylish presentation. Same ingredients, so we didn't alter anything, right? Okay. Now the croutons we're going to go ahead and take out of the salad, and we're going to place the croutons, okay, around the salad to give a little more contrast. Going with an odd number here, 5, centering the salad, okay? And finally, we have the Parmesan. And instead of making the Parmesan become integral to the salad by grating it and tossing it in, we're actually going to shave the Parm and use it as a garnish. Because to me, the Parmesan, especially an 18-month aged Parmigiano Reggiano that we have here, is really going to add some delicious contrast to the salad, that nuttiness. But let's go ahead and let that be, okay, part of the salad. And let the guests enjoy that delicious cheese, which I think is the reason why we like the Caesar salad to begin with. Yeah. So let's go ahead and put this in our presentation window. Again, same salad, more of a modern presentation. We'll let you take a look at that up close. Clear out for the next salad. All right. Dope. Looks good. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our third salad here for you. This one we're having a little fun with. We're taking a modern approach to a deconstructed Cobb salad or a Cobb salad. So I want you to think for a minute about a Cobb salad. Many of us have seen this on the restaurant menu. We've had this before. What are the components of a Cobb? I'll let you catch up with me. All right. What are the components of a Cobb salad? Okay. Let's see what we get. So we should have guessed a few things, right? First, if we're talking about our dressing, our base, and our garnish, our dressing for a Cobb salad is typically a red wine vinaigrette. Our greens are typically iceberg lettuce, right? And we're going to use some iceberg, but we're going to alter that a little bit to make it much more modern and contemporary. Okay. Also more elegant. Avocado, right? Blue cheese, bacon, and chicken. So let's see how we go ahead and deconstruct that salad for you. The first thing we want to do is we want to think about how we're going to present the salad. Okay? So I have a wood shop in my basement here at my house, and I create lots of things for the kitchen, right? So I've created these beautiful salad plates here out of solid maple, right? Okay? And we're going to use these today for our Cobb salad. Okay? We're going to set up a base ingredient here of avocado. Now, avocado is delicious, it's wonderful, but it's also very visual, right? There's a visual interest to avocado, okay? Especially when you take advantage of the different tones of green, the lights and the darker greens. So what I did was I took my ripe avocado, I put it in between two sheets of plastic wrap, and I rolled it out thin. Then I froze it, okay? I'm going to dress it very lightly with a little bit of lime juice, a really good quality sea salt, and while you're on my channel, when you get a chance, take a look at my channel on 3 things to make you a better cook right off the bat, and you're going to learn about salt and pepper. So I'm using a little bit of fresh sea salt here, good quality sea salt, and just a little bit of pepper, okay? So lime, pepper, and salt, and again, it's just a fresh avocado, but by freezing the avocado, okay, we get this beautiful marble. We're going to actually call it a marble, right? So I'm going to put that right in the center of our plate. Okay. That one actually was slightly broken, so we're going to go ahead and replace that one. Okay. And by the time the salad is finished and it gets to the guests, this avocado will be fully defrosted, but will be nice and cold. And we like to serve that cold. And you're going to see on this particular salad, we have a few different temperature zones that we're addressing. Right? So we have our avocado. I'm going to put the rest back in the freezer because I'm going to make a little special lunch for my wife today, right? Okay, we'll take care of that. The next element I have are the greens. Now, I'm establishing the avocado here, not just as a component, but I'm also creating that as a base for my salad. So if we take the concept of the salad and stretch it a little bit, we have our main body ingredients, right? We have our dressing, we have our garnishes, right? And then we sometimes have a base that we put on. And a classic example would be a tuna salad, right? You take a leaf of lettuce, that's your base, you put the tuna salad on top, it's a tuna salad, right? So we're using, in this case, the avocado as a base ingredient. So let's talk about greens. So I have here some iceberg lettuce, which I've cut very fine, okay, small pieces. I've torn this up with my hands. I have some arugula. I like the arugula, the pepperiness or the flavor, because I'm thinking not just about the components. Each component is going to add to the overall sum of the dish. So I want to have some really good stuff. We are very blessed to have a wonderful relationship with Flavor Fields, based out in Suffolk, New York, right? Suffolk County, New York. on the North Shore, on the South Shore. We have today some micro rainbow mix, and I have a micro superfood mix which they sent me to try, and this is quite delicious. It's got some flavor of pak choy, broccoli, arugula, and also a little bit of radish. So it's got a little bit of pepperiness. It's got a nice contrast to the other greens that we're putting in. So we're going to go ahead and use these micros as well. Using a little bit of this into my salad mix. Okay. And I'm going to present two for you today. One for you to see, and of course I got to take care of my cameraman, right? He's got to have something to do today. So we're going to take care of that. A little bit of that micro in there. Okay. Let's go ahead and get our dressings. Other garnishes that we're going to use. We want to keep cold today. Right. So, our greens. We made a very nice red wine vinaigrette here. We've added a little bit of Dijon mustard to that. We're going to just put a very light coating because we don't want to collapse our greens here. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of toss that in a little bit. If we put too much dressing, we're going to come back and add some more dressing. We don't want to put too much. Okay? We don't want to collapse the micros here. So we're going to go ahead and start with our greens. Okay? Center that up here nicely. Both salads right on top of the avocado. The nice thing about using the avocado and keeping it cold is that it actually keeps the greens nice and cold as well. So we have a beautiful height here that we're creating. Terrific. Now, we forgot one ingredient, right? The classic Cobb salad has egg, right? Well, it is true, but we're not going to put egg on this in a traditional sense. We're going to do something a little more interesting, right? What I've done is I've made an emulsion using olive oil, truffle oil, a little bit of garlic, and some vinegar. And I've thickened it with some xanthan gum. And here again, we're taking a modern approach. So we're taking some molecular gastronomy techniques here. What this does for us is it gives us this egg white appearance, right? Okay? And we're going to put a couple dots on the plate here. Okay? So we have the egg white, but we don't have the egg yolk. Well, how do we address that? So we're going to take a little pipette here. I don't have any micro squeeze bottles. Okay? And we're going to take this egg yolk foam, right? Egg yolk gel, excuse me. I took some egg yolks, I cooked them to 140 degrees over a double boiler, much like I would do a hollandaise sauce preparation, right? I add a little bit of salt and pepper, and we have this really interesting, now, this gel, nice and cold, and we're going to go ahead and take and put a little dot of gel on top of the white, and this is going to be our egg yolk, right? So this now gives the appearance of a sunny side up egg, which we think is interesting, right? Again, we're in the visual domain here, but also this tastes really good, right? So we've created an egg appearance using some molecular gastronomy techniques and creating an interesting visual, right, for ourselves. Okay, terrific. So we took care of the egg, right? Now we have the blue cheese, right? So the blue cheese is interesting because normally we would crumble the blue cheese, but to me, crumbling the blue cheese makes a little bit of a messy salad. What we're going to do today is I've taken some blue cheese, right? I've added just a small percentage of cream cheese to the blue cheese, which I've crumbled, and I reformed it into a little cylinder, right? And as I was cutting the croutons for the Caesar salad, I was generating a lot of crust and trim. And I said, well, it would be nice to use that for like a breadcrumb, like a little persillade, right? So we're going to take our goat cheese, and we're going to go ahead and coat it with a little bit of our crumb. And we're going to use the goat cheese here as a garnish as well, right? But we're going to make it a little more interesting, yeah? Okay, and we're going to warm it, right? So, wow. Okay, so now we're talking about temperature, right? It's a salad, so all the salad elements should be cold, correct? No, right? They don't have to be cold. In fact, it's much more interesting when you vary the dimensions of the flavor that you have on the plate, okay? And the temperature as well works out extremely well, okay? So, we missed the egg, and we also missed the tomato, right? But let's not do that again. So let's make sure we have all the components for our Caesar salad, for our Cobb salad here. I'm going to take some warm water here. And we have some tomatoes, right? But it's the middle of April, and while it's the end of April, actually, beginning of May, and while it's getting close to the season for tomatoes, we're not there yet. So I wouldn't really put a fresh tomato on a salad at this time of the year, right? Because the tomatoes are going to need a little bit of help. But I would definitely take some tomatoes and make a jam with them. I would put some flavoring in there. I'd put a little bit of acid in the way of some rice wine vinegar. I'd put some sugar to bring back the natural sweetness the tomato has. And maybe along the way a little bit of ginger, right? And create this delicious tomato jam, which we're going to use on our plate as well, which does a couple things for us. One, it's going to give us a really interesting color, right? It's tomato, but it's not the tomato that you're getting right now, which has no flavor, right? And we're going to go ahead and just do a couple of little quenelles here on the plate using 2 spoons, a little bit of hot water. Okay. Put that here. Okay. And finish that off. Okay, and that is our tomato element. So, we're missing a couple things here still, right? One, we're missing the bacon and chicken, right? So I had to think a little bit about this. I said, well, really, for me, the bacon is crunchy, crispy, right? The chicken is so-so, right? It's usually grilled chicken or poached chicken. What if we took the bacon and chicken element and we combined the two, right? What if we took chicken skin, we smoked it, and then got it real crispy? So now we have the chicken and the bacon flavor profile together, but we have the best elements of both. We have the smoky flavor, we got the crunch, and we got the chicken notes there. So that's going to work out for us. So we're going to go ahead and take that chicken skin, nice and crunchy, and put it right on top, okay? And I got some trimmings here as well, which we're going to use later on. Okay? We're almost there, and I like this, and I'm going to flash the goat cheese a little bit just to crunch up that crust. But I thought about this, and I said, it'd be nice to have a frozen element. It's a modern salad, right? We have cold, we have cool, we have creamy, we have the jam gives us acid, etc. But we don't have a frozen element, and I like using frozen elements in the salad. But what kind of frozen element? How about ice cream? What do you think about that? I think this plate needs an ice cream. But not vanilla ice cream, and not strawberry ice cream. What if we took the idea of making ice cream and we made a blue cheese ice cream? Now, don't make a face, okay? Don't make a face. I can see already some of you, I'm not even seeing you, but I can tell. You heard blue cheese ice cream and you want to run out of the room screaming, right? But stay put, there's no way to go. Yes, we take the basic elements of an ice cream. We take the heavy cream or the half and half. We take the egg yolks. We make the appuré that we know that would make. The question becomes about sweetness. We don't want this to be a sweet ice cream. We don't want this to be cloying. We want to give this some interest, right? A a little bit of sweetness. So instead of using sugar, I'm using honey. I'm using a combination of goat cheese for the silkiness and then some crumbled blue cheese to finish things off. So we're going to go ahead and take our goat cheese ice cream here, okay? And we're going to set that up right on our, okay, right atop our avocado. Okay. Again, very interesting flavor, interesting concept. And don't knock it until you try it, right? It's an interesting idea. Again, we're talking about modernizing a classic salad, yes? Okay. Put that back in the freezer. We have two more elements to go here, and we want to take advantage, again, from our friends at Corporate Press. They have these beautiful apple blossoms, which we're going to take advantage of. I tasted these, have a little bit of a cucumber flavor, slightly acidic, really tasty. We're going to go ahead and use a couple of these here on the plate, just to bring this up and dress it up a little bit. Okay. Apple blossoms are not quite out yet. Another month or so we'll start seeing these, okay, on trees. But this is going to give us, again, a little bit of interest, right? Okay, it fits well with the context of the dish. Okay, gives us a nice color component, but also tastes really good. Okay, all right. And finally, I do this with my CINY students because they always admire the fact that when I'm in the middle of a demo, I always have an opportunity to take a sip of coffee. We're just going to go ahead and touch the top of our cheese here. Get that crumb a little toasty. Warm that cheese up a little bit. Okay, again, adding another interest layer of flavor. Okay, to our persillade. And there we have our deconstructed Cobb salad. Let's bring this up for you here. You let Jake take a look at that for you. Again, this salad is presented on the classic wooden plate here, which I make in my studio. If you're interested in seeing how those are made, you can visit my other channel, Hudson Valley Woodcrafting. I do a lot of kitchen-inspired products, pepper mills, bowls, plates, etc. So Jake's getting a good shot of that. Get a little bit closer on that. Great. So you can see all the elements. And I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on because I'm going to see if you guys have any questions for me. Ah, yes, I'm seeing a bunch of you say you definitely made a face. Yes? Absolutely. When I said goat cheese ice cream, right? So I'm looking at the live chat here. Does anybody have any questions for us? For me, that I can answer you about what we've done today, about the industry, about education, anything that I can help you with. So I have a question here from Dave Gromwald about 250 salad production methods. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if I can make 250 of those wooden plates in my studio, but any of these dishes, obviously, anything like this, if it's componential, as this salad is, everything's kind of mise en place out, assembly line style. Somebody comes by, drops the avocado marble. Somebody comes by and drops the goat cheese, etc. And you could do this in a banquet situation. Obviously, it's a little tricky with the ice cream to have it tempered properly, but if that's the last element that goes out, and you get somebody that makes quenelles really fast and really good, much better than I do, then you can do that as well. Yeah, Nishali Rivera. Hi, Shali, how you doing, sweetie? Can I talk about xanthan gum? Yeah, let me take some out here, actually, for you. Okay. So, xanthan gum is a powder thickener, right? The nice thing about xanthan gum is it's a thickener and emulsifier. It works hot or cold. And it really just does exactly what it says it does. It creates a thickness and a silky texture on products. I use the xanthan gum in the oil emulsion here, and if you think about it, this is emulsified still, was made yesterday evening, right? And has not separated, right? So this actually, for salad dressings and for sauces and some cold sauce applications, really does a great job. Very small quantity is needed, okay? We talk about 5 grams per liter of liquid is enough for you to thicken with the xanthan gum. And again, it can be hot or cold. Gianna, hello, sweetie. I see Gianna there. For the other students, what are some do's and don'ts of salad making? Again, it's, restraint in terms of how much dressing we put on. I don't like to serve a salad unless I put some dressing on the greens. I know sometimes we put greens on a plate and we serve a side of dressing. To me, I got to work, right? I got to put the salad dressing in. I got to start mixing it. I might as well go back in the kitchen and do my own dinner if I'm eating in a restaurant situation. So I like to dress the salad. I like to plate it, clean, center plated for the most part, elegant. A lot of times we think of the salad kind of as a throwaway course if it's part of a meal, but it's as important as anything else, I think, in the meal. So we want to be careful. Ingredients should be cold, chilled, right? If you're going to mix temperatures, they have to be true, right? You want to serve the avocado ice cold. You want to serve the ice cream frozen. You want to serve the goat cheese slightly warm. You got to make sure you manage the temperatures and you manage the plating on those. Let's see. I see a question from Lewis. What did I use to roll out the avocado? That's a good question. Jake, hand me the martello. So this is what I used, a rolling pin, right? This is a rolling pin that I actually made. It's a pasta rolling pin, and it's my new favorite rolling pin. It's called a mattarello in Italian, which you use to make pasta. I actually am going to be producing a couple of videos on not just using this in the kitchen, making tagliatelle, but also how I made it in my wood shop. So I'll post some links on this video when we publish it to the site, so you could take a look at that. 2 sheets of plastic wrap, roll it out nice and even. If you're doing this in production and you want to get an even thickness, I would get 2 rulers, 1/8 of an inch thick, side by side. Rest the pin on the 2 rulers and roll it so you get a nice even layer. Freeze it, and then go ahead and cut it into any shapes you want. Good question. Thank you, Jasper. Appreciate it. The most important part of a salad. Okay, so for me, I think really the construction, the base of the salad and the dressing, I think go hand in hand. Those are the 2 most important elements. And the garnishes just kind of support those elements. You have a great mix of greens, like in the Cobb salad with those copper crust ingredients, the beautiful flavors that the copper crust brings in. It's all good, right? So to me, base and dressing are the 2 most important things. All right. Okay, let's see. Anybody else have any more questions for us? Okay. Let's see if I got anybody. Yeah, Lewis, thank you. No face here. Appreciate that. Yeah, with the ice cream, it's actually quite good. Okay. Excellent. Dom Zara, how you doing, son? So, what other plating techniques are there? Are you a fan of empty space plating techniques? Yeah, in a contemporary plating, model, you want to showcase, especially a plate like this. You want to showcase a lot of negative space. We call the empty space on a plate negative space. You want to manage that. I'm not a big fan of the sweeping negative space where everything's plated on one side of the plate and the rest of the plate is empty. It kind of, I guess growing up as a kid, food was not as plentiful at times, and you kind of had to put food on a plate. So to me, it always looks like, I'm getting a small portion. But you definitely want to manage negative space. I like to manage the negative space in some kind of a framework. If I'm managing the negative space on the upper and lower portions of the plate, or on the edges of the plate, I think that's important. So yeah, I think in contemporary plating, absolutely. I'm a big fan with hot food as well, of center plating the hot food and then having other elements around it, showcasing some negative space. Again, it's like a picture frame, right? You have the rim of the plate, that's your outside boundary. Then you have to create an inner boundary that you're going to keep within on the plate, otherwise it looks messy, right, when you get to the edges of the plate. So, and you can see that, here we try to maintain, spacing equal on the top and bottom, and then left and right, we left some spacing there as well. Could have probably centered this slightly more to the left there as well. But that's a good question. Okay. Thank you so much, Annette. I appreciate it. How do you keep, Elizabeth, Liz, hi honey, how you doing? How do you keep from oxidizing the avocado? The easiest thing with the avocado is lime, right? The lime juice, I put the lime juice on top of the avocado and it will stay on the plate, won't discolor. If we took this plate apart right now, you would see the avocado still bright green. And then you get the flavor of the lime as well. So, and then also with the freezing technique, the avocado will not, like if you freeze bananas, for example, which is another tropical ingredient, they'll turn brown. Not the case with avocado, it stays beautifully green. In fact, if you have avocados on your counter and they're getting a little overripe and you're not ready to make that guac or do something with them, cut them out of the skins, put them in the freezer, and you take them out, they're as good as they were when they went in. Well, thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, cost of salad greens has increased. That's correct, Dave. So we want to definitely try to utilize as much as we can, especially with the mixing of the salads, right? We don't want to overmix, we don't want to overproduce, because once you put the dressing on the greens, you can't use it, you got to start again. So that's true. Let's see, for those students who want to consider competing, how would you go about making several plates of these salads in competition? Again, all of these dishes are about mise en place, right? So I did my mise en place earlier this morning, a little bit last night, got my trays set up, all my ingredients lined up. When it was time for me to go plating, I dropped my plates and I moved my ingredients to the plates in that flow. Again, keeping the integrity of the ingredients, if they're supposed to be frozen, if it's supposed to be cold, if it's supposed to be warm. With the salad, most of the components are cool, so it wasn't a challenge. But if it were hot food, I know a lot of our ProStart students are competitors, right? They compete. They've competed. You want to keep the food hot. You want to keep the plates hot. So again, it's about maintaining the integrity of the ingredients that are hitting the plate, and that includes the integrity of the plate. The plate is clean. The plate is cool if it's supposed to be, cold if it's supposed to be, warm if it's supposed to be. If you're doing a mixed temperature plate, like we have, for example, the wooden plates were not chilled, they were room temperature. And that's by design, because I'm putting different temperature elements on it. We want to strike a balance, right? If I were doing, for example, that salad, and I decided to take the blue cheese here, and maybe do a coating, like a breading, and then do a quick fritter, fry it and plate it, and we're going to be served hot on the salad. I want to make sure that my temperature on my plate was even, right? So it was room temperature, not cold. Oh, thank you all so much for your comments. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, we have another question here, Shauna. Why use emulsified sauces for the egg instead of an actual egg? Does the flavor remain the same by doing that? So that's a good question. Again, we're playing with the idea of modern, right? We could have taken a hard-cooked egg, quartered it, put a couple of wedges on the salad. I don't think in this particular plating it would have been as elegant. We could have used a quail egg, for example, as well to make things a little bit smaller, make it a little more interesting. We went to do this without the egg because we wanted to show you how we can play with the visual of creating this thing that looks like an egg, but actually has only a little bit of egg yolk in it. So it was just really a creative decision that I made. The other thing is I've taken a lot of the protein out of the salad because Cobb, for example, typically is a heavy protein-based salad with chicken breast and bacon and blue cheese, etc. So we do have the blue cheese, it's true, and we have a little bit of fat here, with the blue cheese and the dressing and the ice cream. But we've taken a lot of the protein out. So this would be more akin now to a starter salad. I would not serve a Cobb probably. Cobb is really an entree salad or a luncheon salad. It's a main course salad. So we've taken this salad and instead of making it a main course salad, we've turned it into a salad course that might be part of a three-course menu, starter, main, and dessert. And that was kind of the mindset behind that. But that's a good question. I appreciate that one. Thank you. How much do these dishes cost typically? Well, here again, it depends upon who's making it. Right? It's going to cost more if I make it. No, only kidding. It really depends upon the structure of your restaurant and what you can charge, right? And that's a real estate question, where you're located, what your guests are willing to pay. But they're typically lower cost items to produce, and they would have to fit into a sales mix on your menu based on what you're selling on your menu. But that's a good question. So if I were serving this particular Cobb salad here as part of a three-course menu or as a starter on a menu, I'm thinking my entrees, dictate the price of my starters and my desserts and other, if I have a tapas portion of my menu. If my entrees are in the $30 range in this restaurant, this salad's probably somewhere around $14, $12 to $14 in that range. In a restaurant that's average, entree price is $30. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Brandon Spence. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? How did you keep the chicken skin nice and crispy? Thanks for the shout out on the beard. I appreciate it. Haven't had a need to shave. I've been home for 45 days, right? So we did away with that, but thank you for the comment. We actually, with the chicken breast, we cooked it in the oven in between two sheets of parchment paper, and I used this aluminum plate to keep weight on the chicken skin so I keep it nice and flat. You could also do the same thing with a couple of sheet pans, but I use the plate because it makes more sense for me, and I have it to use. And then I crisp it up as much as I can with the plate on. I take the plate off. I let it finish in the oven so it's nice and crisp. I cut it while it's still warm, because if it's real crisp, when you go to cut it, it will shatter. So when it's still kind of warm, a little bit warmer than body temperature, I can cut it. Then I just cool it, and it stays nice and crispy, no problem. Jasper, yes, I will. I'll link my Hudson Valley Woodcrafting page to the recording of this demo, and I'll post that on my site, so you can take a look at that. If you've seen, there's some other videos on my Chef Doctor channel, on this channel, that you might be interested in. I recommend. They're all very instructional. I have one on things that you need to know, consider becoming a chef, which some of you might find interesting. My take on that. But again, it's been a great pleasure to do this webinar. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope, Liz, this was what you were looking for. I'm seeing a lot of students participating, so I'm very happy to see that. Maybe we'll do this again, and we'll do another topic for you. So thank you all very much for watching. We're gonna end the stream now, and we're gonna wish you well. Be safe. We're going to get through this. The industry's going to rebound. We're going to be great. Continue to educate yourself. That's the most important thing that we can do right now, right? Continue with our education. Being home for the last 45 days, I've been cooking with my sons. My son DJ and my son Frankie are both aspiring culinarians. My wife is also a chef, so we've been having some great meals. But we've been doing some educational things. We've been looking at some different cuisines and trying some different dishes. And it's been a lot of fun for us as well, trying to make the best out of the situation. So you guys do the same. Continue to build your flavor vocabulary, taste some different things, try some different things, and be well, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you all so much.